Hello everybody, welcome back to Language, Litigation, and Integration Part 42, Casual Conversations 8. Probably not any stories today. Just want to talk about some current events and some other YouTube conversations I've been watching. And current events, Sanjay Gupta and Joe Rogan's interaction. But mainly current events, legal discourse, scientific discourse, maybe some stories to go with them. But first, in the last episode of this series, I started talking about the role of an attorney. Didn't really answer it directly. The role of an attorney is to represent a client. They have a license to practice law. What is practicing law? Right? Forming a good argument in the context of law. Right? I say that specifically with that verbiage is because that's how lawyers will self-identify. They'll say, I practice for this long, I practice for this long. Meaning, just because you have a piece of paper that says you have a Juris Doctorate doesn't mean you're on the forefront of legal discourse, admittedly from the profession itself. And so in the context with, like I said, referencing this apartment and the last apartment, the ones, when I have attorneys 3 years out of law school giving me definitive instructions, they don't have the legal jurisdiction to give anyone definitive instructions. Do they? Yes. Is it illegal? Yes. It's just get the sentiment of the group of lawyers. But they don't have the legal authority to give you directive. They have the ability to argue and practice law. So that is the role of an attorney. I also want to talk about merit judges versus elected judges. Went to my mailbox yesterday here in Columbus, Ohio. Judge Russo, she puts the people's first. Preferred candidate, CBA judicial preference poll. This is an elected judge. They campaign. A lot of judges, I don't think they certainly don't have to be lawyers, but they don't have, like, I'd say I don't know most or some, but like elected judges typically don't even have to practice law because judging is common sense. But a merit judge is when you prove something in legal discourse and then it gets taught at law school even behind closed doors. That's the difference between a merit judge and an elected judge. So I'm saying these biological orders, I don't have a black coat, I don't have fancy card stock saying Brad's Chambers, but if you don't do what the fuck I say, people are just going to die because you violate biological law, the thing, deny science. What's the result? Dead people, period. So we'll talk about that a little bit with Lex Friedman and Carl Hart's conversation. I thought Prof. Hart was very good. But that's the difference. That just, again, answering a direct thing I put on the last episode, didn't really answer, and I wanted to cover why I'm not considered I am a judge. But, and an attorney giving specifically to me, like I said, in general, an attorney does not have the ability to give definitive instructions. They cannot write court orders. But Mr. Jameson sure thinks so, but to me personally, it's insanity. It's again the equivalent of what heresy or blasphemy would be today. So that's the role of an attorney. Sanjay Gupta, Joe Rogan, Dave Rubin, and Canadian professor. Let me make sure I'm still rolling. So again, if you don't live under a rock, I'm sure you've seen something about Sanjay Gupta and Joe Rogan's interaction on Joe Rogan's superpodcastexperience.com. But I don't really agree with anybody. Sanjay Gupta is atrocious. You should I want to talk about, again, I can sit here and say this person should lose their credentials, this person should lose their credentials, but I want to focus on something a little bit more. That's right, I am the premier scapegoat of all scapegoatings. And I put in a work request for my... Nice, it got canceled. Perfect. I had a casual conversation, but I'll throw it in there. My washing machine, I was washing some sheets this morning, and like it got misconfigured in the washing machine, and it sounded like it was going to like rip through the wall. So I don't know, some crazy acceleration, force vectors in my washing machine. But like I say, what I was getting to for Sanjay Gupta, again, I agree with no medical correspondent should ever be allowed to lie. News stations should never be allowed to lie, period fucking ever. But I just want to get to more of the psychology, again, of, like I said, I've referenced many times either FBI director or former FBI director literally getting intimidated and saying, oh, this is scary. So I just want to kind of like show you, I have a clip right here. This is titled Timcast IRL, 1.1 million subscribers on YouTube. CNN Dr. Gupta claims he was terrified Joe Rogan would physically attack him during their talk. Physically attack him. People get intimidated, they get offended by facts, and then they resort to whatever, your verbiage, not mine, on Lex Friedman's a couple episodes ago, beta males. But this is what they do. People want authority. They want... Sanjay Gupta has notoriety, has a career going. He went to medical school as the most prolific scientist in history. The medical community is fucking hilarious, thinking they have some sort of, like, again, special knowledge. They went to school, they have investment bias, they spent $300K on their education, now they make $500K. Now they know. They know the answer. Just like lawyers aren't practicing law all the time, doctors aren't readily available to all the scientific information all the time. But newscasters nobody should be allowed on the news. Lying as a chief medical correspondent is about as societally offensive, as fraudulent as you can be. Joe Rogan not getting, like I said, calling something, I think I even referenced horse dewormer, but again, words don't fucking matter to me. Again, I like antivirals. I don't want worms in my body. If the horse dewormer is also an effective human dewormer, like, so even like the reaction to calling it a dewormer, I react to the illogic, just that doesn't make any sense, not the social, oh my gosh, I can't believe you compared it to a horse dewormer. Don't give a fuck at all. But Joe Rogan not getting the vaccine, fucking retard. So that's what I think there. But I even wanted to get more specific to the fear response of someone who, again, Sanjay Gupta, medical professional, doctor, cool beans, has a practice, people look up and respect him. Then scientifically, someone challenges you correctly. The answer isn't, it's deflect. Well, and I watched the clip, and it was, he softly admits, yeah, we shouldn't have done that, we shouldn't have done that. And then I didn't watch the other clip. Like I said, physicality. Oh, science is from scientists. Oh, he's speaking science. He's being direct, honest, and confidently spoken. Physically attack me. But again, I've got that response many times in my life, and you can't just what he did. What he did. But I wanted to cover like the psychological reaction of Sanjay Gupta, and just those quick facts. But I also wanted to compare this same exact type of interaction to, I think I've referenced it on here, maybe not, just quick refresher, you can find the clip if you like. Dave Rubin, obviously another pretty popular podcaster on the internet. He had and this clip is years old, I don't know, 3-4 years old, but he had a Canadian professor on there, again talking about, I've already said this in the series, but talking about 9/11. And she was a lady, she herself says, an animal, that this animal says her and her academic colleagues were effectively sexually aroused at the deaths of 9/11. You can find the clip yourself, she admits it, and it's like gotcha. It's all these beta males and females like gotcha. Well, right, invest in bias, well, right, Mark Twain says, I would never wish harm on anybody, but I would chuckle at some obituaries. That kind of sentiment is what is going on here about, consent. People climb up a mountain and freeze to death, no one's really that upset. It's all kind of dialed into just, don't be a dumbass, but then the beta males, the people who are actual fucking savages who actually behave like animals, they don't really care about death. It's just like, well, sucks for you. And again, at a time when the entire medical community is violating direct biological orders. So that's what I think about the Sanjay Gupta, Joe Rogan, Dave Rubin, and Canadian professor interaction in comparison. Now let's talk about Lex Friedman and Carl Hart conversation, and we'll talk about Luis Elizondo, and some historical facts and conjectures. So I watched the entire Lex Friedman and Carl Hart conversation. I hope you guys recorded that. My responses, I don't have any notes here. All the things on my notepad are just stories I want to tell. Like I said, I've got a bunch of them. This is mainly just current events. But just a couple quick points. All drugs should be absolutely legalized. Again, I don't have any notes on the conversation, just trying to recall what I was my commentary. But again, Lex Friedman's obvious underdevelopment of just drugs in general, and like I said, I've covered my drug use entirely, casual beers and cannabis, but all drugs should absolutely be legalized, 100%. I even disagreed with Carl Hart when he was like talking about like heroin or just any hard drug. I already talked specifically what that means. It doesn't mean anything, but he even's like intravenous heroin, or maybe we'll supply a crack pipe or something. I really think you said the desire for drug consumption will be mitigated entirely throughout the population once we take that immaturity of about 9% to like literally over 50%. And so, but that'll be on personal level. My point is availability. He put it, Carl Hart put it well, the drugs that people desire. And as an economist, as a biologist, education is the thing that you have to spread. They talked about it well in the conversation. But from a biological, psychological perspective, the immaturity of having readily available stimulus, cell phones, gambling, technology increasing in general, that is what has restricted the growth of the individual. Not in a society way, not like violence or video games cause violence or dumb shit like that, but if you have positive feedback from your environment, reward system anyway, you go get a job, you get a raise, you go treat someone well, you get a partner, a girlfriend, whatever. But with technology, just the availability of positive feedback stimulus has again and progress is inevitable, meaning the maturity of the species will grow certainly. But again, all drugs should be legalized, absolutely. Certainly agree with like regulation, but like the thing for adult use is just know what substances you have, know precautions, know again, if you do fucking if you overdose on opioids, Narcan, like have any precautionary supplies, but really know what reagent test any substance you have and know the dosing patterns that are well tolerated. That's really it for any drug. And again, the thing I wanted to, because Lex Friedman specifically made the comment, Carl's working against the grain. Yeah, the grain Carl's working against is, again, education from scientists, who, again, it can only say the same fucking thing so many fucking times. People make a little bit of progress in their personal lives. Somebody saw someone who's a hardworking doctor now or a lawyer now that saw someone strung out on heroin one time is now certain it's the drugs problem, when in reality, and again Carl covered it plenty fine, but it's the immaturity. The addictive behavior comes from the immaturity and the immediate reward systems that we have, availability of reward stimulus all around us. The addiction vehicle mechanism does not matter. Anything else for that conversation that sticks out to me? Again, off the top of my head, not really. Like I said, I agree with Carl Hart throughout the whole thing, except for basically I think the availability of any desired commodity, right? If you legalize something that is in demand, you will get a black market, period. So anything people desire, I think that should be the leading thing for drug policy. Totally agree. That was a good conversation. I don't know, random update. I want to talk about a little bit more about some history. But just an update on Breaking Bad in line with drug consumption. And I'm through season 3. Probably watched another 8-9 episodes. At the end of the last one, the Hank dude just killed the 2 cartel guys. Turns out Gus is now the bigger player in the game. Gus whacked the small cartel presence that was there. The cartel's cartel's been very general in Breaking Bad. Then the guy that bugs Walthouse is an enforcer, just an all-around handyman for Gus. There was an entire episode about a fucking fly in the fucking lab. Okay, Walt and Jesse, why wouldn't you just create a localized containment thing around your fucking meth and not worry about the fly flying around? That made no fucking sense to me. I like the family dynamic a little better with Skyler involved. Just the beginning episodes, the first 3 seasons, about every phone call, Walt hiding behind a fucking door where she's right around the corner, which is unbelievable. So I like the criminality a little better with Skyler involved. I still give it a D minus, D plus for me overall in crime show. And the last episode I just watched, Gus just whacked one of the I don't even know the little Mexican dude's name. I forget his name. I've only said it twice. That made no sense to me. Walt killed the chemist that was going to replace him. Well, Jesse killed him, but Walt and Jesse are clearly on the same team. in the writing. And Gus was going to kill Jesse and Walt and replace him with this other dude, Gale. So Jesse Jesse kills Gale, and then they're all back down in the lab, and then Gus comes down and just slits the throat of this random Mexican dude who's like not crossed Gus in any clear way that I've seen. Just the consistency of the writing, no idea where that came from. So that, and now Walt and Skyler are looking to buy a car wash to launder their money. So that's where I am with Breaking Bad. Still not probably the lowest rated crime show I've watched. I've watched a bunch. I'll do another episode on just all the crime shows I've watched. But I just wanted to throw that in there with the drug conversation. So now a little bit on some Luis Elizondo and historical facts and conjectures. So I was watching, I couldn't even find the clip. I don't know if he was being interviewed by somebody else. He's got a lot of interviews out there. Again, the guy that is getting pressured by the Pentagon not to release the actual fucking report. And again, there is so much more going on, boys and girls. Everyone included, all things involved. I know about your modifying spaceships. I know about the biological modifications. The only thing, your data affects my resource, 0. Your verification, validation affects my personal research, 0. Your materials that you've recovered affects me, 0. The only thing that I want to tell you, dumb fucks, is if you have some sort of data or evidence about biological morphing, anything like that, that data is extremely relevant to healthcare. So we need to get that going very quickly. Again, you guys are just committing treason and fraud left and right. Truly fucking hilarious. The Pentagon. Seniority. The only seniority on this planet is fucking Brad. But the Pentagon, yeah, the same Pentagon, the exact quotes that stick out into my head from this conversation, I can't even remember. I couldn't find it again on YouTube. It's out there, I just couldn't find the right one. But it was recent, within the past week. If you want the real report, you shouldn't want a chunk of flesh. I don't want a fucking chunk of flesh. I want illiterate beta male fucking monkeys to understand you are slowing down science and killing people. That is what I want you to fucking understand. And the dollar figure he says is a couple $1 trillion of liabilities. You guys flew your own buildings into the fucking Pentagon and caused a couple $1 trillion of fucking liabilities. Grow up. But again, nothing from that report has not been to 95% independently verified by me. So I don't need, for me personally, your information, your data matters nothing. To the progress of biological science, if you have any real data, how biological, not the physical shape-shifting, the biological one. And again, anyone that can walk around's got to be close. Some historical facts and conjectures. Can aliens wreck their spaceships? Yes. Is it extremely unlikely? Yes. What the fuck happened at Area 51? I think when Luis Elizondo is talking about you guys can get them to respond, I think you got them to respond and then you shot one of them down in 1947 in July. And so if you have a species in the Northwest that's really angry, you probably shouldn't have, again, this is 1947, this guy might know, that guy might know, very few would know. But if you shot them down, aliens don't get mad, and aliens very, very, very unlikely to wreck their spaceships. So, in the same way, you know, we have sharks are really angry and aggressive, and then you go paddleboarding for a little bit, and now we see them swimming along kindly with us. Whatever data you have, however many species you are aware of, however many species I am aware of, put zeros on it. Just start putting fucking zeros on it. Nothing about the shape-shifting, very, very, very gray 747 was overhead 2 days ago. Very gray. No lights on it at all. Completely consistent with the fucking clouds. That's dime a dozen. The only thing about the size of the ships, I would say that I think is a bigger question. Are you guys aware that all of the storm systems you see aren't exactly storm systems? I'm sure you're aware of that too. But again, it's just we're a young galaxy, neighborhood type thing. A lot of history, like all the aliens don't know each other. That's just really not how it works. The Greys, once removed, the first technological jump. Oh, the satellites. You didn't know the fucking any stabilization dynamic that isn't formed body, mass body, strong body. A car has a chassis. Anything that's just like energy, electricity. Those are, they're intelligently controlled. That's a substantial and technological jump up from a solid body ship for sure. But again, how big does history get? Locally, just on Earth. Open questions for every species listening. So, again, aliens don't get mad without you shooting their ships down. Exceedingly unlikely they would wreck their own. I'm poignantly aware you've got archaeological finds. I have a specific event in my mind, independently, sentiment-wise, for 1947 at Roswell. But I'm aware you've got, again, you guys found you had music on the moon, but you also found rocks and you recovered other things at sites, and you put them on like a vinyl player, and that's how you got your fucking voice signals. You probably have a lot of voice signals. But again, just get over the fucking Eric Weinstein. I responded directly to his tweets. A new satellite comes online. What does India do next? It's not India. Then they call Asia. Then they call the world. Then they fucking look up and then fuck. And again, there's no violence. There's any fear sentiment, any enemy sentiment is our species reflecting on itself. Period. So that's what's going on there. And again, watching the interviews makes me fucking laugh. Nothing I need from you personally. If you're aware of any sort of biological cloaking, that would certainly help healthcare. And would it help genetic understanding? Again, Earth people, us, probably not. But again, the modifications, how exactly that functions, that would be certainly progressive for healthcare. So remember, just keep committing treason. Keep doing whatever the fuck you want to do, because you guys can't grow up and move on like adults. So, thank you for watching Language, Litigation, and Integration Part 42, Casual Conversations